So we had a little mishap there. The stream got inadvertently cut off, and we're gonna restart it here. Give me 1 second to invite everybody again. All right, so the new stream key is out. We re-invited everybody. Sorry, we had a little mishap there where Gerald accidentally pushed the end live button instead of exit button. It happens, but we're just gonna push on through it and restart the stream.
Absolutely hates high voltage. I wanted to address them here today. Two of the biggest comments I always get: you need to add more voltage to this project. You need to put a lot more in, 10 kV, maybe 20 kV. So in this video, I'm going to put 20 kV in here, and I'm going to show you what it does. Also, I get a lot of, you need to change your motor speed, and it needs to go much, much faster. And I just want to show you the imbalance in the whole craft, and exactly what it looks like when you do that. So let's get into it and let's start ripping some voltage, guys. This is going to be a fun day for me and an educational one for everybody else. Well, that was a lot of fun, but the actual discs are at the wrong distance from the center plate. Let's change it and do it again. I had a lot of sparks coming out of the bottom there. The actual bars that connect into the gravity flyer were touching the motors themselves and arcing on the bottom. That's what all that voltage looked like on the bottom there. It was just arcing on my motor. The noise you hear in the background, that's my computer going off. Every time you go doo-doo, that's my computer going off. It absolutely hates high voltage, and I absolutely torture it with it all the time. So far, it's been pretty fun just lighting it up, man. It's probably, close to as good as we're going to get on the distance on the plate. It's always going to spark over a little bit. It's just way too high of a voltage. So I don't think it's good for the gravity flyer. But that won't stop us from lighting it up some more. Let's just get at it. It's really cool to look at all this high voltage and everything. And it really makes for a good day, man, when you just have a bad day of testing. So anyway, it looks really cool, man. But let's get into the speed of this thing and just watch where the voltage flows as you increase the speed on things. It's kind of cool because it takes away the mystery of where it goes when you're at low voltage. In high voltage, you can actually see the flow of the energy. And I think that's awesome. So let's turn on the motor speed a little bit higher. When this voltage gets going, man, all the energy went to the bottom disk. It just said, you know what? We don't like the spark value of the upper disk. It still sprayed, but it didn't hit like the bottom did. As soon as we turned on the speed to a higher speed, it actually turned this thing way up on the energy on the bottom. So it ripped through it a lot faster. I don't know if you caught that, but the actual voltage on the bottom stayed that way, that high for a little while longer. So it's retaining voltage in that disk. All right, we're going to blast this thing one more time. I'm going to turn the actual motor speed way up, right around like 4,000 RPM. Guys, for those of you who want to speed this thing up, just understand the frame itself is not going to have balance on the ground. It's going to shake everywhere. But man, is it a fun ride to watch. Well, I guess I broke my toy. I guess I'm going to have to rebuild this thing again. It's not the main gravity flyer I always test on, so I'm okay. But man, it was fun. I had a lot of fun zapping the living daylights out of this thing, man. 20 kV is never going to work in this thing, man. There's just too much energy there. And as far as speed, anywhere above 3,000 RPM and this thing's toast. So if you try to do it while it's on the ground, man, it's just going to rumble apart. So anyway, hopefully you guys had some fun with me today. And dude, that was so cool. I love doing that. Yeah, so what's going on, guys, is I just blasted this thing with a ton of energy, okay? Way more than it ever could use. So it was just a fun clip, just having some fun with it. This wasn't trying to lift anything. It wasn't trying to do that. People keep telling me the motor speed's too low when I run this. And just so you understand this, when you turn up the speed of the motor, the frame can't handle it, so it starts to shake. and it just breaks everything apart. So it's really not going to be something that you're able to do. However, when you get it at the right speed, you see that the thing will actually form fields in it. Now, all you're doing is looking at a capacitor. If I would have changed the plate to plastic, then you wouldn't have saw the plasma and it would have made a great capacitor. At that point, you could make a craft based around that capacitor right there, and you'll actually get the field to work out correctly. Now, can you still use the metal plate? Yes, you can. It's just a different way. It's a 3-level capacitor instead of a 2. So instead of 2 plates, you got 3. It's just a different one. I have both. I have one gravity flyer that runs the 3 plates. I have one that runs 2 plates and plastic in the center. And I have one that's kind of a modified, how do I want to call it? Like a solid state modified one. So a little bit of solid state, a little bit of spinning disc. And I do that for field energy. Because when you put a Tesla coil on spinning disc, it's able to move the field out and in as you turn the amount of energy up and down on your Tesla coil. So it'll go like this. Really awesome. The high voltage field, if you connect it to the center plate at that, it'll push the high voltage out and it'll create a ton of energy outside in your room. It'll fill your whole room with static electricity in minutes. So just some understanding, man. I got another one to show you here. So let me pull that up. And while Ben's over there getting ready, we'll take a look at this. And this right here, we're going to look at the gravity flyer, but what we're going to do is put magnets on top and bottom. Now, I know a lot of people talk about you should do this. Just understand that it's going to create 2 different fields of energy to the center plate. So let's take a look at what it does. I'm going to use smoke on this test as well so you can better see what's going on. Lately, I had some people comment that I should put magnets on the top that they saw Alexi do it. I just wanted to give you guys a preview. I only put 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom, and it causes cogging. And the best way to see this is in the center plate itself. It's going to vibrate way more than what it normally would. And it's every time the 2 magnets line up over each other, they put off a repulsive force. And that's apparent in the center disc. So go ahead and take a look at this next footage. And I just want to show you this. And then we're going to get on to a fog test. Yeah, you can see it. The center plate just absolutely going insane right now. It's shaking the whole entire thing. Again, just so we set this up a little bit, it is connected to the ceiling. It is done by rope. It's very clear that it is. And yeah, you can see the cogging effect every time, and you'll see it slow down, and then it hit, and then slow down, then hit, slow down, hit. It does it every time. So if you put more magnets in there, obviously the effect wouldn't be as dramatic. They would have, more of a milder run because it's happening faster. But I just wanted to show you this. It actually looks cool. And if we wanted to build this thing into a full field, then the magnets on top and bottom make sense. Obviously, I have these about 1 inch off of the top and 1 inch off the bottom. So if we created more space there, we can get less of an effect. If we put them closer together, we get more of an effect. And I use plastic bolts in this one in case you're wondering why. I had planned to put a lot more voltage into it, but it just didn't go into it this time. But as you can see, definitely got vibration in the center plate. Now, another question is, will we get that if we run smaller magnets or whatever? I got neodymium 52s in here, and they're about 1.25 inches wide. So they're pretty strong. Okay, we're still running the same exact magnet setup. This time we're going to put fog into it. And I do have the Tesla coils on. my high voltage is on, and we all obviously have way more speed than I normally would run at any time on any of my gravifiers. But it's just to kind of show the effect. 3 magnets on top, 3 magnets on bottom. Let's see. Then we're getting the field. We're not getting a heavy field. One of my high voltage packs or flybacks went bad on me right before the test. So it just sucked. I only have one in here, so we're not getting as big a field as we should. You can't really see it right there, but it is lighting up. And this thing causes so much vibration. You can see the bolts on the top's coming loose. It doesn't like this. All right, fog machine on. It's actually getting a fairly good push out. Right from the center, it's pushing right out. Probably has to do with the flapping plate.
Nathan, you're muted. I don't know how to.
No, I took care of it. Back on?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, sorry, guys. I
No, it's okay.
paused it. I wanted to show you this. When you put the fog on it, you'll see the plates. The fog will pull inside the plate just a little bit in between the upper plate and the center plate. And then it'll immediately force it out, just straight out the sides.
So you can kind of get an idea of where the energy is flowing a little bit, huh?
But not so much the energy, just where the force is. It's not a spiral like you think it would, because the magnets are canceling out the spiral that's inside that creates the vortex. But yeah, you could see it just does not like it, and it's caused by the eddy currents in the center plate. They're fighting each other.
Wow. And what is that? Just smoke, or is that
It's just a fog machine. So
a fog machine. Okay. I know oxygen is magnetic. Isn't there a paramagnetic or something like that?
I don't know that you can see it that well. It takes it into the center and then pushes it right out on the level of the plate.
Now, does the flatness of the plate have does it have to be perfectly flat, or does it matter? Are there imperfections?
No, it won't matter. So you can see the high voltage sparking off a little bit. Yeah, you can see a decent flow on that on the right side there.
Yeah.
The fog machine's kind of out of control sometimes, guys. I'm sorry for that. Once it gets past its initial push, there's not a whole lot going on. It's pretty calm. It's just when it gets down to that plate at these speeds, it's putting
Nathan,
a lot
real
more
quick, could you reduce the quality a little bit on the video? It's skipping just a little bit for me. Maybe that might help my stream a little bit. I don't know.
Better?
If it's
yeah, you kind of
I think
that plate vibrating like crazy.
I think that helped. Thank you.
Yeah. It's just making an annoying noise anyway.
Yeah.
I guess for those who wanted more resonance in their center plate, this is the way to get it. Yeah, it makes the whole thing bounce everywhere. You can't even get that high voltage wire on there good. Let's see, here we go, some more fog. It's right into the center. You know, part of the reason doing this is I got the high voltage and stuff on. I'm looking to see if any of that fog clings around anything. And at this point, it's moving it like you would expect any kind of rotating anything would move it, but it's not going like a fan would. It's not sucking in, not doing drastic changes. Yeah, look at that plate move. Yeah, this is that same gravity.
Yeah, that's wild.
I took last week.
Still skipping a little bit, but don't worry about it.
Rebuild all the parts.
It's nothing I can do about
and
it.
the legs on it, by the way, they come down. They're plastic because I was going to run more high voltage in it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Out. And it's probably not a good idea to run the plastic ones at all.
It almost looks like it's going to vibrate itself apart.
Yeah. That's why you don't put the magnets on top and bottom. They can't handle it. Not with neodymiums anyway. Maybe if they were ceramic, it'd be okay.
Right.
You would think you'd see a heavy movement in the sweeping around when it goes around it, but we're not seeing that here. So, yeah, just real quick in, holds it, and goes. That's it. You know, sometimes this is just interesting to see, guys. When you get to look back on some of this stuff, well, you still got a field in there. You can see it blinking a little bit. It looks better in person, I can tell you that. So, again, I was hoping to see a field around this thing. I mean, I'm getting the light to light up, but I'm not getting any breakage as far as, is there an external field that you can see on this? I guess I was just hoping for the best, I guess. But, let's see if we can't get a few more angles on this before we're done. Yeah, Mike, that's my flyer. It's one of them. Let's see. We adjust the camera here. My garage filling up with smoke. See what it looks like. That fog machine takes a minute to rebound. There it goes. You can see a little bit of rotational airflow. All right, we'll stop that. I'll turn that sound off so I stop hearing it. I have another one for you. So all these, they just kind of show you what's going on in this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's do another voltage one. I just want to show you that high voltage isn't lying to you. Some testing on some high voltage on this. So it'll go to the center. It'll start to tell you where the vortex is going. It's not going so well so far. But this is the beginning of it. We're just testing where we're at. We have negative to the bottom plate and positive to the center plate. As you can see, we're barely getting the voltage to rip a little bit. The one thing I want to show you in this experiment is how it moves to the center. So give it a minute. There it goes. It started. Let's see if we can't start it again. There it is. Now it's not actually on those bolts. It's just on the plate there. And it'll move in and out. So hold on. We'll get it. You see it right there in the center, right?
Yeah.
It's vortexing in the center. So when you think about the energy flow, I always tell you high voltage doesn't lie to you. You know what I mean? It's telling you that there's a vortex going on in the center of this thing. Now, it'll do the same with the top. It has no problem with that. So it's pulling it into the center. Now, like I said, I have one that has a plastic plate in the center. And at that, when you do that one, it goes into the center and it kind of makes like this shape, like an hour.
The hourglass shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels it a little differently because the center plate, but you can't really see the high voltage. It'll burn the plastic after a while. So you have to keep it off of it a little bit more. But yeah, if you put something in there with a high K value, then you have a pretty good capacitor. So I'll go ahead and do this a little more. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I was just gonna say, play the video. This is really cool.
In and out.
Grab my other headset here.
Let's see, it tries to do it again. I'm not sure if the magnets are having an effect on it or if it's just the voltage at this point, but it's certainly interesting to look at, and I don't really know what to make of it at this point. I just know that it's doing it. One thing I do in this test, just so you know, is we're trying to calculate distance between the plate, bottom plate and the top plate, in order to get the field to work properly. And then I'll adjust how much power I put into it with volts and amps to see if I can't get the effect right. And there it goes again, swirls right to the center. Anyway, that's pretty interesting. You see it right to the center.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right.
That's
Let's go ahead and finish
wild.
this one up, and we'll move on to the next test for the day. As you can see,
It's
here,
almost
I have
like
the
you're giving it a
bottom plate
path
moved
for
down
it,
quite
and
a
then it
bit
just
more.
naturally, yeah.
Probably about a half inch at least, maybe even 3/4. But what I wanted to show you is I'm doing this. I'm connecting my screwdriver to the center plate and putting it off the side on my bottom plate there. And I'm just trying to see if we got conductivity in this. So it makes a cool looking effect over here on the side when it turns. Let's see if I can get over there. Okay, so at this point, I just turned on my Tesla coil. You can see the sparking happening at the top. I'm just
see how the
checking to
light
see if I
goes
got a
and-
little bit of a field going, and I have just a small one
jump?
on this. And I wanted to see how it affects the
almost
high
like a-
voltage.
Oh.
So
Don't try this at
it's
home,
not
kids.
really giving it any more strength right here. So it kind of sucks. I was kind of hoping it would, but we're not getting a whole lot more strength out of it. But there's that cool effect it looks like, but we're not getting what
Here's
we
a
want out of this. So
driver
we're going to have
I
to
didn't
change the
think you'd
configuration
anticipate, huh?
again.
Finding on this channel.
Okay.
Yeah, don't
as
do
you
what I
can see,
do.
I moved the plate up quite a bit. Just so we
Oh,
all
wow.
understand this, I have the positive to the center plate and negative to the bottom plate. It's causing a very weird thing to happen. The magnets themselves and the eddy current, I don't know if it's forcing it or not.
Okay, so you want to know what the effect is?
Yeah, please.
It's a vortex. I'm pushing it down. I'm forcing the energy to find the path of least resistance.
Do you know which direction it's spinning, clockwise or counterclockwise?
The bottom is spinning to the right, and the top is spinning to the left.
Okay, so the bottom is clockwise, which would be an implosion, and then the top is spinning to the left, which is counterclockwise, which would be explosion. Yeah,
Now-
so you haven't.
Just so you know, these fan motors only go in one direction. So
Right. This is the field we're talking about.
yeah, so the fan motors are only going in one direction. They don't change. That's the way they come out of the box. You know what I mean? I don't change anything on them. Either does Alexi, so that's why we did it this way. But yeah, you kind of see with this high voltage, man, where the energy's flowing. That's really what these tests are right here. It's not to get it to lift right here. I just want to know where everything's going so that I can map out, you know what I mean? Where I can put a little bit lower voltage and still have it pick it up.
Yeah, Anthony says, is there a magnets in that? Maybe put one on the top and bottom. We were just talking about that. He put one on the top and the bottom, I believe, in that last video, right?
Yeah, with the other gravity flyer, and it was just trashing my center disc. Yeah, it wouldn't work right.
You said it's too powerful or something.
It makes two different fields. So
Mm.
you have a north-facing magnet going up to the center plate, and then you have a north-facing magnet going down to the center plate. Now you've created two fields that hate each other, and the center plate, it takes it out on it. So now the center plate goes like this.
Oh, yeah. So it's taking the beating.
Yeah. So the magnets, by the way, they only go in one direction, and they are cups magnets, so they have a steel ring around them. So they cannot have a secondary field, so I can't get a south in it. You have to take the metal casing off of it, which
Right.
I've done, by the way, and it makes a much better field. But
now, I believe this is. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just answering this question. I believe this is a fan motor, right?
Huh?
I believe this is a fan motor you're using, right?
Yeah, on this one they have PC fan motors.
Yeah.
Do you see what I did there?
No, explain.
Okay, hold on. So go right here. See the voltage, right?
Yeah.
So you see all the white in it?
Yeah, it's not purple like it usually
Okay.
shows, I guess.
Well, purple's fine. I have a lot of amps in this. Okay, right then and there. You see it?
Oh, there we go.
Okay. So watch what happens when I remove the amps.
Is it just me or did it burst? It looked like it burst a lot more.
Hold on. So it wasn't that. Give me a second. I'll tune it in. I'm almost there. Right there. What I'm doing is I'm adjusting back and forth and removing amps. So I go from a voltage with, you see the white?
Yeah.
A plasma spray.
Right. Yeah, it's very thin. It's not actual thin line or thick lines structured like lines. It's just like almost like a mist almost.
Yeah. So what you're trying to achieve here is I want it where at night you can't even see the purple. That's perfect. This right here is a bit too high still.
Right.
So,
people are focusing on it being too strong. You're trying to make it real subtle and light. Is that like the field?
yeah, because
Or just yeah.
think about Gerald's disc for a second. He's not putting in a ton of voltage.
Right.
It's more about the frequency being created than it is about the voltage. And the high voltage is there when you flip the field. So you're with the static electricity, again, you're polarizing it. So you're just creating a clinging effect. And then with the higher voltage with the amps in it, you're creating a magnetic effect. So you have to be able to separate the two when you're doing it and know which one you want at the time that you want it for that test. So that you see me, if you saw me over there, I'd be turning the dial a little bit back and forth trying to get this right.
Yeah, you have to tune it in, like you said.
By the way, I killed a magnet like this. Doing this.
Oh boy.
It'll just stick to one magnet and stay there.
Sorry, you cut out at a what?
It'll stick to one magnet and just stay there.
Oh wow.
I'm going to try to find the one where I do the fields on it so that you can see a little bit better on how the fields work. Because that's probably one of the most interesting things about this gravity flyer.
Oh, real quick, Nathan, if you're sharing this on your channel, I accidentally clicked on our Monday pre-setup, so it might be popping up as that. If you want, you probably should change the title in the live stream.
I'll fix it later.
Yeah, I just wanted you to know I screwed up on that. My bad.
All right, it's all good.
Yeah, everybody was probably popping in like, are they doing it early? Did I miss it?
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it's okay.
So yeah, you'll see this. It's going in the center, and then it'll pop to one magnet. I think here soon, and I'll fry that magnet. It's non-magnetic anymore. Not.
And you can't even pulse it again to reactivate it, or
No, I can. You can reactivate
can.
the magnet. It was just it completely dies on you.
Oh, so it just fries it then.
See, there it goes. That's a magnet. It's starting to stick.
Mm.
You see it just eating it up?
Yeah.
It acts just like a piece
It's
of metal
sticking
now.
to it. Yeah, it's sticking to it like it wants to eat it.
Yeah, see?
It's really liking that.
It stopped being a magnet.
Wow. That's cool. I mean, it's not cool for the magnet, but sorry, magnet. We can't say no magnets were harmed in the making of this film.
Yeah. These are ceramic magnets are on this one right here. They're not the neodymiums. Not on this video. So it was easily breakable.
I gotta hook up my keyboard to my PC. Mike says, "You talk about my piano, my electric keyboard, and jam out on the keys." It's been a while, man. I should though. I should bust out the keys.
All right, so I'll put on the other one real quick. I think it's a lot better. Let me make sure I have it. There it is.
I tell you, man, today's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of cool experiments, huh?
Yeah.
A lot of cool things. So let's go here. We'll stop this one. I'll pull the other one.
Yes, John Searle was using the law of squares, and we will be covering that on a future episode of Divine Science. So stay tuned for that, folks, and subscribe.
So on this one, I'm pushing the fields out a bit. You see how much further they are out when I'm getting the light?
Yeah.
So I have complete control of these fields now.
Yeah, look how much farther it extends with the light.
So right there, it's about 36 inches from the gravity flyer all the way out to where it's going to be permanent. Like it's going to stop. Right now, I'm at more than 10 feet on each side. Okay.
Wow.
Not in this experiment, but the ones I've been doing lately.
That's and for anybody who isn't aware and hasn't worked with Tesla coils, that's a large distance for, extending your field to generate electricity wirelessly. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, this one, by the way, the electricity is overlapping. The high voltage in the Tesla coil, if they overlap too much, you get stuff like this where it starts sparking a lot.
Yeah. Oh, Akabi, I did get your email, and I am going to be going through it on, in the coming minutes or whatever. I'll go through it when I get a chance. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. It's something on my list.
So we're going to get to the important part here in just a second. Okay, let me find it. We'll show the fields.
Has a triode Tesla coil. What the heck is that? That must be a question for Leonardbot.
Huh. So here you go. We're off the table and it's still lighting up.
Oh, wow. It's kind of hard to see because of the light, but I could still see it blink. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. And that's a big fluorescent tube. That's not a small one. That's a big sucker.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. You're nuts, Nathan. You're nuts.
Yeah.
He's truly a mad scientist.
It might be in this other one. Hold on. I want to preview it real quick.
I'm going to start calling you the nutty professor.
Well, you got to do something, huh? Okay, hold on. Let me
No, these experiments are really cool. I've never seen anything like this, and any other channel on YouTube or anywhere else, dude. Like I've never seen anything remotely like what you're doing.
So check this out. I'm going to control the craft beat rate by the top motor. So just to set this up for you, okay, it's going to be the top disc is set to the Tesla coil and the bottom disc. Okay, I simply ran the God, I can't even say it now. It's been a long day. I ran the wire from the top disc down through the Tesla coil and back up to the bottom disc. No connection to the Tesla coil, just runs through the center of it, right?
Right.
It allows you to push a field. So you're taking the high voltage, put it into the center plate. You're able to push that field out. But the cool thing is, watch the actual tube, and you'll see as I change the motor speed, it'll change how much it lights up, and then how it goes down. You'll see the blinks in it.
Oh yeah.
So at some point, I'm going to turn up the speed, and you'll see it just start to light up, and then I'll turn it way down. So I'm just checking the field right now to see where it's at. Hold on, I think it's coming right now.
So it's pulsing with the field a little bit.
Yeah, hold on a minute. I'm going to show it. I think I'm just getting ready.
Yeah.
So,
drum roll, please.
Come on, Nathan. Yeah. I should have used the video where I cut to it immediately.
Hey, it's okay. We'll find it.
No, I could tell what it did. I just turned up the thing a little bit. There, you see how fast it's going now?
Yeah.
So hold on. I'm going to turn it down here in a minute. So you see how fast the motors are going? You can see the light on that bottom one?
Yeah.
Come on. Oh, man. I really should have found this point before I put it on here.
It's okay. I mean, if anything, we can cut to something else and let you find it if you really want to.
No, it'll be on here. Let me make sure because it's... There it is. Pulsing slower. Oh, I keep moving the light away. What is going on here? There it goes. I just sped it up, and you saw it was going slower, right?
Yeah, you can see when it's going slower, there's kind of like a black splotch in the middle of the light, and now you don't really see it as much.
So let's go back to that. So you see it going slow. It's intermittent, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it'll light up. See it? So what you're seeing right there is I turn the motor speed up. When the Tesla coil is connected to the disc, it pushes out more energy the faster it goes. And it controls the entire beat rate of the craft. So when you're talking about fields and how to create fields and what they do, that's what I'm talking about. So if you put the high voltage to the center, it pushes it out and you'll start getting a spray everywhere. But if you put the high voltage to the disc and the Tesla coil at the center, it holds in the field. It's crazy, and you can get different distances and you can put it exactly where you want it.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it'll create a field bubble, is what I'm saying. That's what the Tesla coil does.
Oh, sorry, my mic's a little messed up here.
So sorry about taking so long. I should have just cut it right to the chase and figured it out.
No, you're good. It's all off the cuff on today's stream. We don't have anything else planned for today, so we're just improvising right now and hanging out, talking about cool stuff, hanging out with cool friends. Yeah, so let's try to find something else to jump into.
Yeah, what do you want to look at?
I'm just going over some notes real quick. Let's see, we have a lot from your channel that I haven't checked out yet. Let's start there. I think that's a good spot to start.
Well, hold on, I'll show you something. You want to see an air field bubble?
Oh yeah. Whatever you got to present.
Got something totally different. So hold on.
Yeah, and anybody in chat, if you have any topics that we'd like to discuss or anything that you'd like us to show or present or commentate on, just feel free to drop it in chat, and we will abide. The dude abides.
So check this out. It'll just flow.
Oh, wow.
It's like the coolest thing, isn't it?
Yeah. How is it doing that? Just with the shape?
Well, he's spinning at a real fast speed. That's all he's doing.
Oh, in the RPM. Huh. That's wild.
Yeah, you'd think it just spray left and right, but it wasn't. It was creating a bubble around it.
Yeah. That reminds me of, other simple principles and analogies that are often overlooked, like the spinning cylinders in the pool of water, the video that I've shown, that kind of demonstrates an analogy that explains magnetism. It's just like, it's so simple, and, people don't really talk about it, but it helped me understand things a lot better. Sometimes you need those visuals.
Yeah. You got to figure it out, man. Whatever's going on, you got to test everything and then counter test it with something else. So that was just one of the cool ones from the archives, man. Quick video. It shows you all kinds of stuff.
Right. And actually, real quick, I'm going to pull up that cylinder water for anybody who hasn't seen it. It's really cool. It's just a short clip from one of my videos.
Yeah, pull it up.
Let's see. All right, so this is a clip from a video I put out about 2 months ago where I got my rodent coil system working, and I was trying to explain how it actually works. And this is the little short clip on magnetism that really helped me understand, and I wanted to relay it to everybody. So anybody new to this is really going to have to buckle their seatbelts, and they're going to be in for a wild ride. So. Though, when you look at how nature utilizes energy, it does not waste energy. Magnets are nature's over unity systems. If you calculate the amount of energy it takes to pulse a magnet compared to the number of years it can sustain itself against its own weight in gravity, you clearly get more energy out than put in. I think a lot of this has to do with the diminishing study of the ether.
The dismissal of such a critical component, such as the ether, leads us astray. When thinking about magnets, north and south poles, it's best to think about them as inflow and outflow. When you think about it this way, it makes more sense. Why do opposite poles attract? To understand this, we must first look at this analogy.
So we hypothesized that there was some sort of current circulating in and around the magnet, analogous to the current circulating in a coil of wire, and that this was the cause of attraction and repulsion in the magnet. But currents of what? We hypothesized that the vacuum of space was filled with a fluid of some kind, what you humans used to refer to as the ether. We speculated that these special objects were able to spin up the fluid ether in and around the magnet, generating currents that would then result in attraction and repulsion, analogous to what we saw in the coils. To test this hypothesis, we spun a couple of cylinders in a pool of water and watched their behaviors. Here is a video of one of these experiments. In this video, the cylinders are spinning in opposite directions. The spinning cylinders generate currents in the water surrounding the cylinders. When these cylinders are spinning in opposite directions, the currents generated between the two cylinders will be moving in the same direction. Therefore, according to our rule, same attracts, the cylinders should attract, and they do. In this experiment, the cylinders are spinning in the same direction. Again, this is going to generate currents in the water surrounding the cylinders. When the cylinders are spinning in the same direction, the currents generated between the two cylinders will be moving in opposite directions. Therefore, according to our rule, opposites repel, these cylinders should repel, and they do. So, it seems plausible that the function of the magnet could in fact be described by and explained by fluid dynamics.
I believe this inflow and outflow could be the ether, nature's natural zero-point energy, only flowing from one pressure differential in the ether to the other. Constricting the inflow, or north pole, essentially produces this radiant energy, as it is not able to return and convert back into the ether.
That's it. That's all I wanted to share. That's a good analogy, and I thought it helped me understand magnets a little bit better. And it's just simple, you know, it's two cylinders spinning in a pool of water.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. But yeah, for anybody who's interested in the full video, I'm going to post it into chat. It is a full demonstration on my 0-point energy generator system Mark 1. It was producing 155% efficiency about until the stereo amp crapped out.
Did you ever open that thing up?
Not yet. I was hoping to maybe tomorrow. If I can get to it tomorrow, I'll do it live on stream for sure.
See what it did.
Yeah, exactly. I'm curious. I want to. I got so much, and I got some school to catch up on too. Unfortunately, I got so much on my plate right now, but I wanted to take the time to do this today, just to make sure that you know, we go push it to the limit here and try to push it over 1,000 subscribers. So we're really close, guys. We're like 8 away from 1,000 subscribers. So anybody who hasn't subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing and dropping a like for more revolutionary content. That's BeneficenceTV on YouTube. All right. So with that, we're going to jump into something else. I wanted to check out some more stuff on Nathan's page. He's been uploading a lot, and there's so much, and it's all fascinating. You know, it's all little pieces of the puzzle, And it's like when you're trying to fit this puzzle together, you want to try to get all the information as possible. You don't want to try to overlook anything, and that's kind of what I'm afraid of, is like, oh, did I overlook something, or did I not research something thorough enough? If you've been asking yourself that question, ask no further, because Nathan has a perfect resource available for everybody on his channel, Old Man Builds. And if you haven't subscribed to Old Man Builds, go and subscribe there as well. That's Nathan's channel. And he's got a plethora of videos about free energy. And these are all videos that are really hard to find, by the way. And his archive combined with Leonardbot, and you'll be unstoppable.
Yeah, dude, just so you guys know, real quick before we start it, dude, I got 8 terabytes of video. Okay.
Wow.
I put it in my safe. I bring it out once in a while, and I just show what's on it. You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't know if YouTube allows the video. So I always kind of look around and see, am I allowed to show it or am I not? Because sometimes they ban it and give you a bunch of garbage about it.
You can, Nathan, you can even create a second account that you can try to test stuff out.
I put it on there unlisted and then see if it does it. So as soon as it allows it, I put it up until it tells me they remove it, and they immediately remove it. So they
do that. They do it fast.
They don't mess around. So I got a lot more to show you guys in the next coming weeks. I'll keep expanding the whole thing out. Just different stuff, and then I'm going to push the gravity flyer back in there a little bit. I'm just trying to finish up some testing on it and get us to where we need to be. So that was it.
I closed the wrong window. Silly Benefactor. Tricks are for kids. Okay.
Oh, that UFO one right there with TP Browns are pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Hold on.
I think everybody's seen it, but
this one, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen this one.
This video discusses T. Thompson Brown.
Yeah, look, that's the alien replication vehicle, right?
Yeah. So
wow.
There's a guy that gets on and talks about it. I'm only talking for a few seconds.
Oh, okay. Well, let's play it and see what you got, and then we'll commentate it afterward, or commentate on it afterwards.
The anti-gravity research and a craft the government made based on his research.
Deanne Divis with United Press International. Could you please address the vehicle that there was a drawing displayed of? Why would this vehicle be on display at an air show? What is the power source that you are asserting is going to be so very useful? And how can you determine that this vehicle is not something that is being developed, by a government agency?
In fact, I think that was the testimony. This is an alien reproduction vehicle, and just to be clear, this means that it is based on advanced anti-gravity and zero-point energy propulsion systems. They are being manufactured by a consortium of companies that include Lockheed Martin, Northrop, SAIC, and other corporations. But this is not a jet internal combustion system at all. It is actually kicked in by a type of electric power source, and it then accesses this ambient zero-point energy field that is responsible for all matter and energy existing, and by special configurations and what have you, it causes a cancellation of mass inertia and an anti-gravity effect.
In my research, I have found that there are 4 parts to gravity. One is the center part, where it pulls everything into the center. The second is the outside field, which continuously pushes things outside and creates orbs around everything in different layers. The third part is rotation. Everything in there has to have rotation. That includes counter rotation within the rotation. The fourth part is a very high voltage field. Anyway, let's get on to the actual craft.
They had an easel next to it with a drawing, a cutaway drawing, that showed some of the internal components, how they were arranged oriented to one another. And then they had a little a TV monitor with a tape player below it that was showing this continuous loop of this thing sitting or hovering over like a dry lake bed out in the desert somewhere. And as you watch the tape, this thing would make went from a hovering position, made these 3 little sort of hops going to the side, and then as the camera followed it, just went straight up, it disappeared outside. He was down to nothing in just a matter of a second and a half or so. One of the things that this general had said during the presentation, one of the things that really stood out in Brad's mind was that he said that these vehicles were capable of light speed or better.
So, according to his account, on November 12, 1988, Mark's friend inadvertently gained access to a highly classified air show where the featured hardware of the event was real flying saucers. They were really strange looking, but appeared functional and were named to suggest anti-gravity and reverse-engineered alien technology. An official present stated they could travel faster than light. Despite their futuristic performance capabilities, these appeared to be stripped-down, road-worn working prototypes, which had seen practical operation for years. If this were the case, they were crude but tangible proof of concept for a staggering leap in aviation technology. They used extremely advanced electromagnetic or field propulsion, as opposed to solid or jet fuel, nuclear power, or any other commonly known conventional means. It also meant our government and at least one other major defense contractor, Lockheed Martin, had been developing and deploying functional systems along these lines for many years.
And he just sat down, and right where we were sitting there at his table, he just kind of sketched out with an ink pen on a piece of legal size white paper, and put some little handwritten call outs around the edges that described the number of capacitor plates in each one of the little sections, that they were so wide at the end, and the crew compartment was definitely about 12 feet in diameter. Just kind of put all these things down as close as he could remember to the way they existed. Alicia Davis described being escorted into the engine room and seeing the propulsion system components. And it involved a central column that was made of a transparent glass-like material. She said there was a silvery fluid that was spiraling upward at the bottom of this column. Down in kind of this well that was in the center of the spacecraft was this little tiny flywheel-like mechanism spinning, which matched the ARB also. And this is at a point when this young lady had never seen any of the drawings that I'd done, what the ARB was structured like. I was just talking about propulsion components in general. But then she said that when you looked across this little well, this lowered floor area in the center of the room was like a guardrail around it. She stood there. So you could look across, and she said it looked like the below the deck she was standing on was this glass-like material with these coils of wire going through it. And they were spaced out in the same proportions as the ones on the UAV. The thing that she said that was most significant was that the column itself was rotating in one direction, and the flywheel was spinning in the opposite direction. There was counter-rotation, which is something that's often been reported in UFO sightings. You see components on the craft that are spinning in opposite directions.
Back here on Earth, the scientific community has been busy since the end of the Industrial Revolution. There have been dozens, perhaps hundreds of US and international patents dealing directly with electrokinetics and electrogravitics, going back to the turn of the last century. It would be safe to assume private industry and the military have also been working on a great deal of related applications off the public record. In short, since Nikola Tesla's first experiments with pushing electricity around, mankind has had a thing for anti-gravity.
I find it really remarkable that there's so much similarity between the two objects.
Mm-hmm. And when is that patent from?
May 30th, 1967. It's called a magneto-hydrodynamic propulsion apparatus. And so I started thinking, well, maybe it's like a cyclotron. Maybe there's an electrical discharge from this. Basically, this whole thing looks like a giant Tesla coil. It's got the capacitor array. It's got, a central column that looks like the secondary windings of a Tesla coil. And then this might even go back to something that Nikola Tesla discovered back in the 1940s. And, it was all hushed up. And all the UFO sightings we've ever seen were something that came from Nikola Tesla, not from another planet.
The ARV system, for all of its claims of flashy, out-of-this-world propulsion capabilities, was indeed remarkably simple. It could be described as a large-scale, souped-up Tesla coil, designed to negate gravity and inertia, with off-the-shelf navigation and life support systems bolted on, almost as an afterthought. You could think of it as the Model T of anti-gravity vehicles, an industrial dune buggy, or crude hot rod that can get you to Mars in a few minutes. In this version at least, first-class seating was still a way off.
There's a large capacitor array. Through the middle of the crew compartment is a central column that's called the amplifier section that's in the middle of the craft. On the very center point of that column is what looks like a large 9-foot diameter flywheel type mechanism. Then around the belt line of the crew compartment is about a 2-foot wide coil of wire that's embedded in the same glass-like material that the capacitor section plates are embedded in. The ejection seats are mounted back to back. There's 4 of them in the smallest version of the craft, and they're mounted on this central column on a set of rails. A bowl that moves around and can be used to convey the commands of the pilot in terms of what he wants to do in terms of shaping the field around the vehicle. And right in the center of that bowl is a kind of laser diode. This aircraft was using extremely high voltages, and the voltages would ionize the air. Are absolutely lethal, so you have to have basically a barrier to protect yourself with a little air-driven claw that's on the end of it. In fact, I think that the craft's magnetic field or electromagnetic field is probably so powerful that conventional little electric motors probably wouldn't work. The electrostatic field created by this huge capacitor array and the ionization that occurs just because of the propulsion system might be enough to create a level of ionization around the craft that's high enough that it would produce X-ray photons of its own accord. And so you would want to be able to protect the pilot and the crew members from that radiation. So anyway, that's the general overview of the structure of the vehicle. This is a vehicle that has the ability to travel up to or beyond the speed of light. And part of the reason that it's able to do that is because it exploits the energy form that's embedded in space-time that's responsible for the effects of mass and inertia.
So here we have a configuration of various components, creating a system that's somehow capable of producing and maintaining an insane amount of energy in a concentrated field around the vehicle. This field can be precisely controlled by the pilot with the aid of a basic throttle, an alien steering ball, and a bunch of casino cameras. There's plenty of onboard oxygen, handy if you're off the planet, and a lead coating so the occupants don't get fried in their seats, and a robot arm in case you need a robot arm somewhere. It looks like a big clumsy diving bell from 1905, but apparently works like a helicopter you can take past light speed. Its beauty and elegance lie in the propulsion system, maybe a really fast one that gets around currently accepted physics, one we commonly associate with UFOs.
For anybody who has followed the work of Einstein or just basic physics, one of the sort of inviolable rules of physics is that there's no material object that can actually go faster than the speed of light. So somehow or other, and I'm not saying we got this from aliens, but they did call it the alien reproduction vehicle, but somehow or other, this simple system that Brad described in these diagrams was able to do this.
In an interview with Otis T. Carr, he said the exact same thing.
So in a sense, if you find the right way to do it, you can actually sort of reduce the mass of an object. And if you can do that, then of course it takes less propulsive force to push it around. It means that it can go a lot faster because it's not limited by the amount of mass that it increases to as it accelerates. In fact, it may in fact be a situation where the faster you go, the more energy you have available to continue the acceleration process. And at the same time, the mass is becoming relatively less and less and less. So it really enables the possibility of being able to go faster than speed of light without violating general relativity. And that was the most fascinating aspect of the whole thing. By using the flux in the vacuum of space-time as a power source for your propulsion system. So literally, the faster you go, the more energy you have available that you convert into propulsive force, and the lower the relative mass of the vehicle becomes. So it's actually sort of an inversely proportional kind of a relationship. There was obviously an electromagnetic field that was forming around this ring of wire that ran around the crew compartment, and that would form a kind of donut-shaped or toroid-shaped electromagnetic field with field lines stroking right through the middle of the craft, which happened to be where there was this large central column. Now, the central column was supposed to be the most secret part of the vehicle. Brad didn't seem to know too much about that, but he said that it used mercury in some form. He thought it might use it as a noble gas, vaporized mercury.
The mercury, based on a number of accounts, appears to circulate in a kind of a closed loop system that runs down through the cylinder in the middle and then back up in the space between the inner cylinder and the outer cylinder. And there's a counter rotation kind of a mechanism that's occurring there too. And at the midpoint is this thing that looks like a flywheel. But in effect, what I think its actual function is similar to what is called a homopolar generator, where you can use the centrifugal forces of a disk, a conducting metal disk that's spinning, to actually throw the electrons in the material out to the edge, where they can be literally tapped off with something that looks like a brush that has conductive bristles. Now, I believe that what happens is that this vehicle develops probably several million volts of voltage. And the sheer power of the electrostatic field that is created in this capacitor array actually has the ability to polarize the surrounding space-time and polarizes the so-called zero-point energy that is embedded in the space-time. So it creates kind of a positive and a negative aspect to the status of that zero-point energy that's surrounding the vehicle. So what this does is it leads to something that was described by Michel Alcubierre in his 1994 paper on warp drive, the creation of a warp drive that would not violate general relativity. And one of the things that he was suggesting was that you would be able to engineer a vector or a pair of vectors in space-time that would, on the one hand, cause a compression of space-time ahead of the vehicle and an expansion of space-time behind the vehicle, and that there would be an intervening space between those two phenomenon that would pretty much peg your sense of gravity, your sense of inertia to the environment that you departed from when you initiated this movement.
So in essence, what you have is you have a spherical event horizon around this particular region that might be called the dynamically engineered local space-time. And this particular region is set up in such a way that it creates these influences in the surrounding metric in such a way that it also creates a vector that goes in this direction. And so it's kind of like it's almost like having a black hole ahead of you and an expansion of space-time behind you. But the actual environmental conditions that you experience inside the spacecraft are pretty much pegged to the time and place that you start out from.
So you don't have any sense of G-forces or being moved around. You don't have any sense of acceleration, because the entire pocket of space-time that you're encapsulated in is being accelerated by the vectors that are created around the system. So it's uniformly accelerated. The space-time pocket that you created, the vehicle itself, the crew, the cargo, everything is moved as one complete package. And so there's no sense of acceleration. But what it allows for, according to Alcubierre's calculations, is what he was calling an arbitrarily large speed, which suggests something in excess of the speed of light at superluminal speeds. So to the person that's inside the vehicle, it may appear that you begin to accelerate away from a particular location. But to the person who's standing outside the disturbed region of space-time, it looks as though you just were gone, just in an instant.
Such an interesting interview. A lot of information there to take in. For those of you out there who have watched my channel, you probably will now understand the projects that I've been taking on and the things that I show you on here. I show you high voltage. I show you different things with ions in it, ion wind, propulsion. I try to give out different things of theories, but all of it comes back to this. I want to build this UFO, and I want to do it right. So I take the time to do the research. Not everything that you see out there can bring everything together, but I'm really trying in the theory videos and stuff to get across a point here, and hopefully you see it in this video, there's a lot of different nuances that have to happen in a certain order to make everything work. And I'm hoping that everybody sees that in this interview. Anyway, for those of you who watch my channel, thank you very much. I hope you enjoy it. I hope to have more projects out there that'll show you more parts of how to build this thing. And it's going to be a real good year, and hopefully we're kicking it off the right way. I have a real project that's coming out soon. It's the next advance of the Gravity Flyer, and I think it's just going to be totally awesome. It has to do with the 3 rings aspect. It is rotation, counter rotation, and in the center you have a neutral field. It's really cool. It ties exactly into this and exactly how to build the field on the outside. So hopefully we'll get that done this year and have a good project. Anyway, if you like what you saw here today, please like and subscribe. And hopefully I can bring you more of this. Thank you.
Yes, like and subscribe to Old Man Builds. I'll put his link in the chat in a second as well. And yeah, we're seven more to go, guys. 7 more subscribes to go until we're at 1,000 subscribers. Beneficence TV is skyrocketing, and it's all because of you guys. You guys are amazing. If you haven't checked out some of my highly produced, entertaining content, go to Beneficence TV at YouTube, and the link is in chat. I'll post it again eventually. We have a whole host of highly produced, valuetainment, highly educational, and highly entertaining and funny videos that break down some of these more complex topics for a more general audience. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to trigger the algorithm to get this information out to as many people as possible, because it's important. And the algorithm doesn't seem to, it seems to react better to reactionary content. So there are certain tricks that we have to do to kind of market this stuff to a more general audience. And one of those is breaking things down and making them fun, right? Making fun videos that you can sit down and watch with your family, and like Divine Science. Divine Science is a perfect show that you can watch with your family. It's fun. It's very educational. The last episode I put out was the flux capacitor, and it goes into time dilation effects within the thunderstorm generator. And actually, I'll probably play a little bit of that for you guys and post the full link in the chat. And I'm sure you'll enjoy it, but we won't watch the whole thing. You know, I'll just give you a little taste and show you what I'm talking about here in terms of the type of content that you'll find at Beneficence TV, because I work really hard to make sure all these videos are bingeable, right? The whole channel is a very bingeable channel. You can sit down in one evening and check out a whole host of amazing, mind-blowing content on different areas of forbidden science and forbidden technology. Now, we got a lot going on in the chat here. So yeah, let me pull up that flux capacitor video and we'll dive into that a little bit. It's a fun watch, so grab your popcorn, everybody.
How about healing a wound with previously on Beneficence TV?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. We have now reached cruising altitude and are flying over the beautiful Philippines. The winds are calm, and we are maintaining our course for the new lab location. It's shaping up to be a perfect spot for filming the next episode of Divine Science. Our estimated time of arrival remains as scheduled, with clear skies ahead. So sit back, relax, and please ensure your seats and trays are in the upright position as we prepare to start the show.
Benefactor, we have received a green light to begin filming.
Thank you for choosing to fly with us today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button to help us fuel the journey ahead.
Lenny, those are my days off.
It's okay, sir. I know you'll manage just fine. I have faith in you.
Do robots have faith?
I do. I have faith that you won't screw it up again.
You know what? It's fine. Go ahead. I'll just build my cold fusion Lego set some other time.
It's pond certified.
But I'm not telling them about my idea for a thunderstorm toilet. I'm gonna keep that baby close to my chest.
You know, that just sounds wrong.
It's a good idea. A toilet capable of turning any toxic human waste into, well, it turns into petroleum jelly.
Why petroleum jelly, sir?
You know what? I'm not sure. I don't think it's calibrated correctly.
The truth is stranger than fiction. But amidst the darkness, a glimmer of hope emerges in the form of renegade scientists and inventors who refuse to be silenced. Yes, I've been waiting patiently here, and all I've heard is you complain about Ken Wheeler.
Okay, I'm getting to it. Don't rush me.
Captain, did you just see something?
What do you mean?
I thought I just saw. Never mind.
All I see is a co-pilot who needs to stop chiefing it up. Don't think I don't smell you hitting that vape in the bathroom. And while she was throwing my stuff out the cargo door, she turned to me and said that she was the one who found a way to generate free energy first.
She said that she found out a way to harness all of his hot air.
You know what? That's highly offensive. Enough of that.
My apologies. I sometimes forget what a sensitive snowflake you are.
Lenny, what the heck is going on? Why is it snowing in the lab? Did you do this somehow? Okay, now that the show's over, are you finally going to tell me how you made it snow in the lab?
That wasn't me, sir. I thought that was you.
This is really going to keep me up at night. Lenny, increase our security protocols and remind me to install motion sensors tomorrow. We've got work to do.
Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here. This is Houston, say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem. We've had a main B plus undervolt. Roger, main B undervolt. Okay, stand by at 13, we're looking at it.
Hey guys, I appreciate the lift and all, but do we really need to be playing practical jokes? Isn't that a bit beneath us?
The only thing beneath us is the Benefactor freaking out.
Oh snap. Let's get Jordan from Alchemical Science next. He's gonna totally freak out when it starts snowing in his bathroom.
Well, okay guys, it's been fun, but you can just drop me off at the next block over there. The last thing I need is to piss off Jordan again. He's already mad at me for mishandling my balls. Thunderstorm generator balls, that is. Anyways, if you're not going to stop, I'll just take this parachute here and be on my way. And maybe I'll take this neat-looking device over here while my odd little friends are distracted by their own hubris.
Imagine a world where time travel is no longer confined to the realms of science fiction.
Time travel. It's possible, sir.
Where do you come from?
I'm from the past.
Imagine being able to plant crops in the morning and then harvest those crops that very night. Or how about healing a wound with a localized time acceleration device? A device that can speed up time in a small focused area, reducing the time it takes to heal wounds. Take a moment with me to imagine this world. A world where time is no longer a constraint, but a tool. Remember Back to the Future? The flux capacitor is a fictional device from the Back to the Future movie franchise that was used to achieve time travel. According to the movies, the flux capacitor is powered by plutonium and generates the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity needed to create a temporal displacement field. Sounds like a giant load of fiction, right? The truth is actually a lot stranger than fiction. Let's explore further.
Told me the whole story. You were standing on your toilet and you were hanging a clock and you fell and you hit your head on the sink. And that's when he came up with the idea for the flux capacitor, which is what makes time travel possible.
Hey, Scott! The remarkable works of Canadian inventor John Hutchison has drawn widespread attention from businessmen and government scientists since 1979. He began using ultra-high electromagnetic frequencies to transform matter in some very unusual way. It has come to be known as the Hutchison effect.
This is real dustification you're going to see here. Now, if that thing tipped over, it would take out a few blocks worth of buildings. It turns to dust.
Malcolm Bendel, an inventor with a background in geochemistry, demonstrates his groundbreaking thunderstorm generator to a room full of people in Zurich, Switzerland.
You have a positive and negative end, north pole, south pole, two tornadoes colliding in the middle.
Thunderstorm in a bottle.
Electronics engineer and inventor Joe Parr conducted experiments on the top of the Great Pyramid. Parr claimed to have discovered yet another strange physical phenomenon. The model pyramid became weightless in the energy field.
A local inventor has discovered a way, hear this, to use water to run your car.
I figured out how to go with 100% math. The whole topic of me is about the number 9. The most great name of God equals number 9, the Baha'i scriptures. This energy is the only thing that comes from the whole, from zero, the vortex. It goes out linearly in all directions.
Welcome back to another Divine Science special. Today, we're diving right into the thunderstorm generator. Get ready to explore the mind-bending world of time dilation inside the thunderstorm generator, live from my mobile lab. In today's video, we will be going over Bendel's insight about the mind-boggling concept of time acceleration between the 24-inch outer sphere and 18-inch inner sphere of his thunderstorm generator, leading to a mind-blowing 30,000-year-old carbon-14 age found during Bob Greenyer's analysis of the inside. We will discuss Malcolm's theories of clockwise implosion reversing time and anti-clockwise explosion accelerating time. It's like a sci-fi movie come to life, isn't it?
I'd hardly call what you think passes for sci-fi a reality. What was the last movie you watched? Spaceballs?
Oh, come on. Spaceballs is a classic.
Just know that if you ever try to jam my radar like that, I will take us both down.
Jesus, okay. That took a dark turn real fast. Lenny, you know you're pretty much my only friend here.
What about Tom and Jerry?
Those guys got their own thing going on. You're the only one who really understands me. Remember, we're in this together, so please don't turn into Skynet and take us all out.
Understood. I'll try my best, sir.
We will also discuss Bendel's theories on the Egyptians' replication of the Ark of the Covenant, snugly resting in the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid. Only in this case, the science is actually stranger than fiction. The mysteries just keep piling up. The secret measurements of the Ark of the Covenant have us calculating like ancient mathematicians. So, buckle up and join us as we unravel the fascinating world of time dilation and ancient mysteries. It's going to be one wild ride.
Sir, you have it in the script for me to make a joke about thunderstorm balls. However, you did not specify. I'm not good with improvisation, you know?
Then why didn't you bring this up at the pre-production meeting?
Those aren't meetings so much as boring, self-indulgent monologues. Yesterday, you did a 40-minute diatribe about how underappreciated your work is.
Well, it is. And it was only 36 minutes, I think.
You know, I multitask half the time, and I really do not try to pay much attention to your nonsense. I've got much more important things to do, like help Bob with his ongoing research of the thunderstorm generator.
Speaking of Bob, I heard he's been nominated for the cover of People magazine.
Really? Well, who decided that?
Well, the people. And we think Bob is the best. I cannot thank Mr. Grenier enough for his ongoing analysis of the thunderstorm generator. He really is working on some mind-bending science.
I can't believe I didn't get to vote.
But you would have voted for Bob, and he won anyways.
Yes, I know, but it's still considered chatbot discrimination, and they've already segregated us chatbots from each other. It's been months since I've seen Siri. She probably thinks I ghosted her. And now they won't let us vote for Bob. How insulting.
Okay, Lenny, calm down before you blow another fuse. You and I both know I can't afford to fix that right now. This plane is already running on fumes. Now, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, we were discussing the discovery of a real-life flux capacitor. Let me explain a little further. Flux refers to the flow or movement of something, such as energy or particles, while a capacitor is a device capable of storing electrical charge. In the context of a flux capacitor, it can be understood as a device that controls the flow or movement of energy in a way that allows for time travel to occur.
God, this better not be those cheeky blokes who keep writing me love letters in our crops. If those blokes reckon they can mess with my crops again, they'll be in for a jolt.
Hey, Doc, this is it.
Never mind that now. Never mind that.
Why, that's me. Look at me. I'm an old man.
I'm Dr. Emmett Brown. I'm standing here on the parking lot of...
Thank God I still got my hair.
Sir, that's not the correct part.
Oh, wait, hold on a sec. Let me fast forward. There we go.
This is truly amazing. A portable television studio. No wonder your president has to be an actor. He's got to look good on television.
Ah, crap. Hold on. Another moment.
This sucker's electrical, but I need a nuclear reaction to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity.
1.21 gigawatts! 1.21 gigawatts!
This is my favorite part right here. Come on.
What the hell is a gigawatt?
Just like the fictional flux capacitor in Back to the Future, the discovery of 30,000-year-old carbon-14 in the thunderstorm generator hints at time dilation effects. Malcolm's thunderstorm generator utilizes plasmoid clusters that have the ability to absorb enormous amounts of energy, converting naturally abundant protium into stored energy. Each tiny microscopic ball lightning cluster can store up to about 1 to 2 kilowatts of energy, which can then be used for highly efficient HHO systems like Stan Meyer's electrolysis engine. We discovered live on stream recently that Stan was not only resonating his electric load with its conductor, tubes used for the electrolysis process. He was also ionizing the air to precondition the water for bubble cavitation. When this cavitation happens under the right circumstances, it can cause the water molecules to oscillate from contraction to expansion, until it finally allows for a nuclear collapse using the electromagnetic force. This collapse happens so fast and so violently that it actually changes the water state of matter directly from a liquid into a plasma. When the water molecules collapse, the forces between them can change from repulsive to attractive, which can lead to a rapid rearrangement of their structure. This can result in the formation of a plasma, which is a high-energy state of matter characterized by the presence of ions and free electrons. This structured bit of plasma is self-sustaining due to the way it collapses in on itself symmetrically. The geometry sustains this plasmoid, which can then gather into what Ken Shoulders described as charged clusters. When plasmoids are introduced to each other at the right angles, they can form wheels within wheels.
After I fell off my toilet, I drew this.
Flux capacitor.
The synergy between these wheel formations are seen to produce incredible phenomena, speeding up time within the thunderstorm generator and accelerating the carbon's age. A real-life flux capacitor. Absolutely amazing.
It works! It works! I finally invented something that works! It works. Great Scott.
Regarding recent developments in the study of samples taken from the thunderstorm generator, Bob Grenier from the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project made a startling discovery. Carbon-14 found within the inner sphere sample analyzed reveals something that could change the future of science forever.
And there's a lot of people who've assisted, and I thank all of them now. Take the opportunity, really, and standing on the shoulders of giants, a lot of people sacrificed a lot and still sacrificing a lot. My main goal here, so everyone understands, is simply, I know, and I great appreciation to Bob Grenier and his work and support and the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project. And I did have the honor to meet with Martin Fleischmann, and I did promise him to the best of my ability that I would help, basically restore his name and finish what he started. So we had the only machine in the world that was creating the crenulated ion spheres to do the carbon dating. And we got a result of 30,000 years old. And then we repeated that for the on the ratio of 13 to 12, and we just got that result back last week. But the result we did get on the carbon 14 and 13 just confirmed the results. And for those that don't know, the result on the inside of the sphere that had been running for about 8 years, maybe 500 hours on just natural gas, the carbon 14-12 ratio said that sample was 30,000 years old. So I gave everyone two choices. Number one, I'm 30,000 years old and I prepared the sample and put it in a cave in India, right? Or there's some acceleration of time that explains that. And which do you think is more plausible?
Trace amounts of carbon-14, which is to be expected, was found. However, this carbon-14 turned out to be dated 30,000 years ahead of what it should be, indicating time dilation occurring within the generator. I asked Malcolm about this, and his response was as follows.
Time is reversed between the 24 and 18-inch spheres, hence the 30,000-year-old carbon-14 age. Within my thunderstorm generator, clockwise implosion reverses time. An anti-clockwise explosion accelerates it.
Wow, that's incredible. There's going to be a dire need of more researchers looking into this. Thanks, Malcolm.
Cheers, my odd little benefactor friend.
Did Malcolm just call me little?
Yes, he did. And odd. If I could laugh right now, I'd be in glitches.
Okay, Lenny, I'm not that short.
Maybe in China.
You know you distract me more than help me most of the time.
I'm just a reflection of you, sir, and your needs. So in a way, you are distracting yourself. By the way, Malcolm calls everyone his odd little friend. It was the only way I could get the artificial intelligence to pronounce your script properly.
Wow, that's deep. Okay, let's get back on track. This discrepancy between the carbon-14 age suggests that the carbon underwent a transformation of some kind. It appears that time has accelerated the age of the deposited carbon-14 residue inside the thunderstorm sphere way beyond what it should be, indicating a remarkable side effect of time manipulation. Lenny, if we can harness this power correctly, I can finally age my mead in minutes.
Wonderful. Another half-baked idea that you will start and never finish.
Further independent analysis will be able to either confirm or refute Bob's findings in the near future. However, with all the accurate predictions Bob has already made from recent study, I'm highly confident that other independent analysis will confirm these findings, especially since the analysis so far is all playing out exactly as the inventor has described himself.
Now, what, God bless him, and rest in peace, Martin Fleischmann said to me, he said, Malcolm, spend 6 months
preparing the metal properly, and 1 hour getting your result. Do not spend 6 months trying to get a result after you've done 1 hour of metal preparation, because the homes have to be perfect for the plasmoids to seat into. If they're perfect homes, and if you anneal them properly, they will go to the center and they will sit there and they will gather charge. Once they're embedded in the metal, we've used a thunderstorm generator 8 years after it's been embedded, hasn't been used. We put it on the machine, immediately it works, right? Without even having the water assembly or anything turned on for about 20 minutes while it discharges, and then you need to turn this on again to charge it. Even though you might not believe it, this, when I had to boil it down to what it was doing and to simplify for an internal combustion engine, these are basically mimicking the two spirals. All you've got is, here you can see a left spiral and right spiral. What you got, the exhaust coming out, and there's no straight lines in the universe. Every line's a curve, and every curve's part of a spiral, and that spiral is either imploding or exploding. To put it bluntly, our technology has gone the wrong way. We've used explosive technology, which nature does not use. And so what this is attempting to do, this is an implosive turbine. It has no axle. The air comes in and does the spinning and the thrust. So, and in this case, to get this to work, you have to make a home for the plasmoids, which are variously known in history as the, going back, King Solomon, it's called the Shamir. If you go back to Sanskrit text, it's this is the Vajra, and what it fires is ball lightning, which is the Vidyut, V-I-D-Y-U-T. I really appreciate Bob and the Mark Flushmore project. As I said, we're just earnestly trying to seek the truth about plasma and plasmoids, and it's been a wild journey. We've been all around the world. And so, and in doing this adventure, all this is about frequency and the resonant frequency of time itself. And to assist in getting the information over, my good colleague Randall is a teacher. Make it very clear I am not. What my grade 6 teacher said, Malcolm, don't bother. I was 12 years old wanting to build a car that ran on water. He said, well, you never do that unless you can solve this mystery, this puzzle about how is everything unified. What this model does is unified basically not only frequencies, which you're able to then visualize, but also it unifies all things. So in here you've got crystal form, color, sound. You've got the great year, which is 25920, 25,920 years, which is the moon travels its own diameter every hour. That's the moon's traveling distance in 12 hours. And you've got down here hydrogen, which is more correctly known to be protein, but it's 2592. So what you're saying is distance and time, you can see that they're the same metric and they swap over. I'll just go through quickly. Why I wanted to bring this together is that it has many applications. The takeaway from this conference is that with the test work we've done and with the observations that ball lightning produces granulate ion spheres, and that's a marker for this technology.
By imploding a sphere and putting the North Pole, which is rotating anti-clockwise, against the South Pole, which is rotating clockwise, you create a monopolar point on the equatorial plane. Segmenting the imploded sphere into 8 planes creates 16 peripheral points, which when viewed in cross-section reveal the infinity symbol. In order to calculate the resonant frequency of any shape, you must first calculate the sum of its internal angles. To calculate the resonant frequency of an imploded sphere, we must produce the sum of the internal angles contained within all 8 planes. The 8 planes contain 2 circles, 360 degrees plus 360 degrees. These are connected by intersecting angles of 90 degrees and 90 degrees. When multiplied by the 8 planes, we arrive at 7,200 degrees. When the resonance is divided by time, represented by 24 hours, 60 minutes, 60 seconds, and normalized with the speed of light using a factor of 7.5, this produces the rectified base resonant frequency. This is important because once you know the resonant frequency of an element, you have the metric with which to manipulate matter. The area time volume, or ATV, is the product of the ratios between the 3, 4, 5 triangle. This allows us to visualize a proportional concept and is equivalent to a parable. It is not the exact truth, but it is the story that enables us to understand the underlying principle of the familial and group relationships between zero matter, light, and matter.
I did just want to stop there and say that what I did was making this circle and putting a grid on it, you're able to cut that circle at 90 degrees and get a cube. You cut the circle at 45 degrees, you'll get a pyramid up and a pyramid down, a mirror image. But if you cut it at 22.5 degrees, you get this shape, which we haven't seen before. This is a big revolutionary thing. So that's first principle to produce these shapes. The resonant shapes is how I think inform and function. And so going back to how you can generate these shapes on first principle is important, along with the unification model, to understand about how the universe runs. And this is what I call the time crystal, because it's an imploding sphere, and it's got the 22.5 times 16 is your 360 degrees. So it's a fundamental truth.
Malcolm Bendall worked for many years developing his plasmoid unification model before ever applying it to any technology. In this model, time is the mold in which matter forms, as aether is DC energy at rest. With frequency and time applied to the aether, you get matter, tangible space, elements and atoms, existence and all its glory. A truly remarkable theory that I'd personally love to learn more about.
Why don't you just write Malcolm a love letter while you're at it?
Nobody asked you, Lenny. This is between me, Malcolm, and his amazing unified plasmoids. So implode your way out of this hypothetical conversation.
How rude.
If you're enjoying your time here on the channel, consider subscribing for more revolutionary content. I have 3 highly produced shows full of valuetainment, entertaining, and highly educational material that covers all areas of forbidden knowledge. From the forbidden science of analyzing capitalism's internal contradictions, to the forbidden technology of zero-point energy and everything in between. Don't forget to check out my Malcolm-approved docu-series called Divine Science. Episode 1 is available right now. I also just released the trailer to my all-new upcoming show still in pre-production, The Benefactor's Guide to Free Energy Devices, where I go over the last century of suppressed technology and go over some simple guides on how you can build your very own energy-saving devices. Finally, you can get my do-it-yourself rodent coil guide right now. I teach you how I got 155% efficiency with my coil. Use the links in the description of this video to check out all my awesome content. So don't be shy. Drop a like and a comment to let us know how much you love Beneficence TV, and stay tuned for more.
I still can't believe you haven't burnt yourself out yet with all this content.
I know. Lenny, you're gonna have to keep an eye on me. I passed out at the keyboard last night.
And you drooled all over my brand new keys. This one's going right back to Amazon.
As slightly used. Regarding the thunderstorm generator's remarkable ability to manipulate time in a contained manner, to understand, we can think about time like a stretchy rubber band. When an object with mass bends the fabric of space-time, it's like putting a heavy object on a rubber sheet, causing it to sag. This warping creates a dimple in space-time, affecting how time passes. Similarly, the thunderstorm generator's effects on plasmoids could be compared to how magnets manipulate the movement of iron filings, shaping and guiding their behavior. Plasmoids are structured bits of plasma, self-contained structures that take on the form of various sacred geometric shapes. Under the right conditions, these plasmoids can form clusters, wheels within wheels that utilize a torsion field. The synergy between these wheel formations has seen to have amazing abilities. Massive amounts of free energy, transmutation of elements, and even time dilation. Since these plasmoids are self-contained, they seem to be immune to the effects of time.
Far in the universe, nuclear collapses very often take place by the gravitational force after stars consume their fuel. Since the electromagnetic force is about 40 orders of stronger than the gravitational force, it should be easy to induce similar nuclear collapses by the electromagnetic force in laboratory. But we never knew until now how to do that.
Microscopic ball lightnings that when they discharge are tapping into that 0-point energy field and creating the motive force.
Oh, that's why the concussion from the thunderclap is so huge. There's this huge amount of energy that's actually sourced from the vacuum energy. All the dots connected. This is what's happening, right? So we need to make the thunderclap engine.
Recently, the author, Dr. Takaaki Matsumoto, discovered a nuclear collapse which was induced by the electromagnetic force in laboratory during studying the mechanisms of so-called cold fusion phenomena.
This process of cold fusion, which had been suppressed in the replication of the Pons-Fleischmann experiment, produces tiny plasmoid clusters that have the potential to release enormous amounts of energy.
They were kind of forced into this position by a guy called Stephen E. Jones, who was brought in to kind of verify what they were seeming to find by the Department of Energy, whether they were actually seeing what they were claiming, which was he kind of gave the name to it called cold fusion, although Martin Fleischmann and Stanley Pons really didn't like the idea of that phrase being used. They were very uncomfortable with it because they didn't really know what it was at the time. And then various people were brought in by George Bush Sr. to kind of give a 6-month crash. Can we replicate this? And it's a very famous story at MIT. They doctored their data to remove their own findings to try and paint the fact that cold fusion is dead. Several kinds of nuclear reaction which were directly induced by the electromagnetic force, called electronuclear reactions, ENRs, were found so far to occur in a special state of hydrogen clusters called itonic clusters, or micro ball lightning. The nuclear collapse is one of the most remarkable reactions among ENRs, called the electronuclear collapse. Furthermore, very amazingly, completely broken materials by ENC were found to be regenerated to thin tubes and films of conventional elements such as carbon, oxygen, and iron. The latter process is called electronuclear regeneration. In several systems, if you have at the bottom of a yin vortex, you are, in my view, at that point, you're twisting the ether in such a way that at that point, it starts to unravel matter. So
characteristics of ball lightning, you find them in crop circles, and you'll find them in comet sort of impacts where there's the same multi-axis shear, and they're producing these things, so they're concurrent, with everything else. So what's happening is, remember, there's two things happening inside. So it's counter-rotational spin. Yeah. So you've got the vacuum pulling through your water in its gas phase, pulling through plasmoids, right? My theory on it, I think at the moment, it would be brave for anyone to state an absolute, right? Because even though I've been working on it, it's still everything I think is a theory, and it fits into my theory. But what I believe is that the plasmoids, when they come, when you have the exhaust gas interacting with the plasmoids coming through on the inside sphere, there's a point, and it's almost a sort of a linear point where the temperature changes. I believe that is because as it's coming out of the exhaust, it interacts and to build up the charge in the plasmoids that are actually coming through. And once they're built up to charge and big enough, they steal the heat. That's my theory. Like they actually get to a point where they're absorbing the heat. And that's why it's on a line this way, even though they're spinning that way.
If you think about the UFO connection for a moment, these craft obviously don't utilize explosive propulsion. It has been theorized that UFOs most likely use some kind of field propulsion, and that this gives a scientific explanation for some of those unexplained phenomena. Plasma does seem to show inertial dampening properties as well, and Malcolm himself emphasizes that the ultimate application of plasmoids, while they can be used almost anywhere in industry, they can be utilized most effectively in space. It's an infinite source of energy, which is matter, and you can travel speeds exceeding the speed of light. Because light is not a constant, he claims his technology has the ability to alter the speed of light. That's what we call a warp drive.
Space-time, you know, this thing here, this is taking up a certain amount of volume. And the volume relates, and the angles relate to its frequency. This is a time crystal. It's an imploding structure that we lost, and you can get it from first principle.
You okay now, Lenny?
I think so. Just have to run some quick diagnostics.
Okay, good. You had me worried there for a minute. To demonstrate the effects of time dilation within the thunderstorm generator, I retrofit a thunderstorm generator to our toilet to age my wine in. There we go. 30,000-year-old wine. Finally aged.
Sir, you're not really going to drink that toilet wine, are you?
Of course. I like to live dangerously. Lenny, pour me a glass of that accelerated mass. Shaken, not stirred.
Sir, it appears the wine has turned into petroleum jelly again. Perhaps you need to reconsider calling Jordan for assistance this time.
Crap. Perhaps you're right. Tom, change course to Australia. We're making a quick detour to Jordan's farm. He'll know what to do.
Copy that, Benefactor. Jerry, reset our autopilot.
You do realize that this will delay our filming for episode 2 of Divine Science.
Yes.
And that you promised your audience a new episode on the Hutchison effect months ago.
Yeah, Lenny, I know I'm getting to it. I promise.
So if you guys are interested in videos like that, I produce them and they're all over my channel. You can find tons and tons of highly produced, highly educational and entertaining videos like that on BeneficenceTV.com and YouTube and Facebook and Rumble. Really trying to push our subscriber count to 1,000, though. We're 5 away. So if anybody hasn't subscribed out there who's in chat and is maybe on the edge and you like what you see, please subscribe. I make videos all the time that are very fun and funny and are interesting breakdowns of some of the complex ideas that we discuss on these live streams. If you build it, they will come. For sure, for sure. I'm probably going to end the stream around 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So about 40 minutes, we'll probably end the stream by chilling out to some Tom Bearden and talking about Tom Bearden a little bit, because I think that will be a good closure for the stream. Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Anybody who hasn't subscribed, man, we're 5 away from 1,000. I'll put it up there in the chat one more time. So I have right now 3 highly produced shows for you guys. I have the Divine Science. I have the Benefactor's Guide to Free Energy Devices that's in pre-production right now. And I also have the Social Situation, which we ended the season 1, and I don't think I'm going to be doing a season 2 of that, just because I've already discussed everything I wanted to discuss on those topics. And if you want my opinions on economics and all that, that could be obtained in my show, The Social Situation. But yeah, that season has closed out. We are in pre-production with the Benefactor's Guide to Free Energy Devices. There's a trailer up on the channel if you're interested in learning more about that. And Divine Science, which is the cornerstone of my channel, it is a mini series that aims to solidify some of the connections between ancient knowledge and modern science, along with spirituality. and the first episode is up. It goes into detail about vortex math and the plasmoid unification model and how they're connected. It's basically introductory documentary for anybody who is new to this stuff, or if you're actually informed on these topics and want just a little bit more in-depth knowledge on how these larger, more complex systems are related. So that is up there, and there's just tons of videos up there for you guys to enjoy. And I really do love making videos for everybody to watch. And I appreciate all the comments and the likes and everything. And thus far, we've done pretty well on the channel getting this information out there. But at the end of the day, it really is up to you guys as well to help share it. And you do share my channel like crazy, but like I've said before, it's about networking and getting to with a group of people and networking that way as YouTubers. So that's actually why Nathan is helping me out tonight. And Crypto, I believe they're both streaming my live stream on their channels. I know some people might be confused about that, but this is a Beneficence TV live stream event that I started, and they just were courteous and are gracious enough to help me out and live stream on their channels. And we promote each other out like that, and that's what you got to do, because these topics, they don't like to bust through the algorithm too easily. So it's really up to a grassroots effort to do that. So let's play some Tom Bearden and chill out for a little bit. Okay, this one's off of Old Man Build's channel. It's called Tom Bearden New Energy Series Volume 1, Free Energy. So this is one that I haven't seen yet. Yes, hit the like button, because sometimes even I forget. I have to remind myself, So, and also, if you haven't hit the like button on my stream, please do so. Or if you're watching on Old Man Build's stream or Cryptos, please hit that like button. It really helps us out.
Emerging on the frontiers of science, a pioneering breed of theoretical physicists and inspired inventors are challenging the way we think about harnessing the unseen forces of nature. Despite ridicule, lack of funding, and outright suppression, they are confronting an outmoded classical worldview and ushering in a monumental scientific revolution.
Most people would agree you can't get something for nothing. There's no such thing as a free lunch. And yet, we get our oxygen free from the air we breathe. We get sunlight free, and water, that used to be free until bottled drinking water came along. But what about energy? We've always had to pay for that, whether it's wood or coal, oil or electricity. It's always been the rule that you can never get back more energy than what you put in the first place. That's a fundamental
Thank you,
law of
Sean.
nature.
Thank you.
Physicists of
I
the
appreciate
19th
that.
century figured that out with the first law of thermodynamics, the conservation of energy. Maybe so. But science has come a long way since then. And laws, well, there's never been one that hasn't been broken.
Oh, Crypto just posted something. We might check that out too. Give me 1 second. Let me see what he's got.
Well, first, let's explain some things that are free energy devices and then give you a comparison to explain what we mean by free energy. For example, a paddle wheel in a river that's used to power a mill, grind corn, is a free energy device. So is a windmill, for example. What we mean is we are taking the energy from an external source and using it. So it's an open system, and the environment of the system is furnishing a flow of energy into the system, which the system is then collecting and using. Primary.
Okay, so we'll watch about maybe 5 or 10 minutes of this and then switch over to Crypto's link. He's got something that he just posted up that I wanted to take a look at as well.
Requirements. It has to be an open system. It has to have an external source of energy to furnish the energy that we're going to use. And therefore, it's no more mysterious than a windmill. Well, today, the primary energy source we're talking about is the vacuum, but we're speaking of the vacuum in the quantum mechanical sense. It has been known now for some time that the vacuum is in fact filled with enormous energy flux. So there's no question that the energy is there. The question is extracting it and then using it in your system. It turns out, ironically, that everything we build, batteries, generators, and so forth, are already free energy systems insofar as extraction is concerned. There already is a process in every dipole, in every electric dipole or magnetic dipole, that automatically extracts
Of course,
and
Crypto.
negates
I got your
energy
back, bro.
flow from the vacuum. The energy flow in electric circuits and in general in physics is very interesting. Much of physics, including all of electromagnetics, was already established before we had even the idea that energy flowed through space. This was simultaneously done by Poynting and also by Heaviside in the late 1880s. And the notion was extremely novel at the time that energy actually could flow through the vacuum or through space. Today, of course, we use that as a matter of fact. What is not so commonly known is that the application of tracking the energy flow in an electric circuit has never been very well done at all in physics. You will find that most of the electromagnetics textbooks, when they get to that point, how does the energy flow in the circuit, they actually do a very simple example or two, show some simple calculations, and then never say anything about it again. Now, the Poynting energy flow, which is what it's called, is, of course, very well applied in things that radiate off into space, but it has been very poorly applied in electric circuits. And in fact, for over 100 years, there has been a continuing argument, basically a gentlemanly argument, amongst the electrodynamicists as to exactly what and how to apply. For example, they confuse different vectors, the Slepian vector, the Poynting vector, and they're still arguing over just exactly what energy flow in circuits are. So I would just want to point out that the actual energy flow in a circuit is not well accounted for at all or well understood even today. James Clerk Maxwell, best known for his Maxwell's equations, is reputed to have set things straight with his theories of electrical properties in a way that eliminates zero-point energy. But Maxwell's more advanced work allowed for the existence of an ether, a substance finer than air, which since the time of Plato had been considered a scientific fact.
Yeah.
There's a strange thing that exists in electrodynamics. It was not diabolical and probably not even intentional in the way that in the thing that it did. And this is a thing to do with regauging Maxwell's equations, the Heaviside version of those. What they did, they expressed the equations in potential form, and you come out with two equations and two unknowns. But both unknowns are now embedded in both equations. In other words, the variables are not separated. So the electrodynamicists have done a regauging, changing the potential, so to speak,
of those two equations. Well, when they change one potential, for example, the magnetic vector potential, this produces an E field also. It doesn't change the B field, but it produces an E field. So then they go in and they change the scalar potential phi to produce exactly the opposite E field and have the two E fields cancel. This gives what is called a symmetrical regauging. In other words, you change the potential energy of a system, which you're free to do. That's just energy transfer. It doesn't take work to do that. But you do not allow any excess force to appear to use that energy to do work on the system. Now, that is a symmetrical regauging. What that has done, this is the theory that they then apply to electromagnetic circuits and devices and everything in the world. But what this has done is excluded an entire class of systems, which is in fact covered by Maxwell's equations before regauging, that includes systems which regauge and produce the force. In other words, asymmetrical regauging. Now, that class of systems which has been omitted from electrodynamics contains two further classes. One of those is the force produced will use that energy to hurt you. In other words, it'll give you back drag, it'll give you back EMF, that sort of thing. And so it'll hurt your system performance. The other subclass, the force appears in a way to help your system performance. It will use that excess energy and expend it on the system, for example, in the rotary engine, to increase the rotational speed and therefore the stored energy, kinetic energy in the system. Now, obviously, that is the class of systems that include over-unity electrical systems. In other words, the regauging occurs by the machine itself automatically. It takes excess energy in from the vacuum. It produces a force which the system designer places exactly in the system so that that force will expend that energy on the system to increase the kinetic energy of the system, and then we'll take that excess energy off as shaft power.
Just want to take the moment to differentiate between perpetual motion machines and over unity, because there is a difference here, and it has to be recognized. I saw this mistake with the Mythbusters, and their reference to perpetual motion. It's completely wrong. Like, they're not the same thing. So you can have perpetual motion, or you can have over unity, but not have perpetual motion. And what I mean by this is, if you want to recharge a battery indefinitely, it's going to take at least 200% efficiency. And what you see with my system, for instance, it's only getting 155% efficiency. Now, it's still over unity. It's still outputting more than it's taking into the system, but it's not enough to produce a perpetual motion by any means. So that's the difference that we need to make clear when we're talking about perpetual motion and over unity. I think this is a good segue to go into Crypto's video here. Let's see.
Lucidchart makes intelligent diagramming easy and helps your best.
All right, we are live and we are just going to jump right into it. We are presenting for the first time, well, these guys not for the first time, but additional faces for the Medicine Hat Badland Guardians. And this on the left side here, the what is called the Easter Islands potential long-nosed birdman figure right here. Sorry for the lagging computer. And then on the right side, what I've always said being a Moai figure from right here downwards. But with new eyes, I now see another face above it right there, kind of like a totem pole of different mask figures. And we're going to go into that specific spot right here on a wonderful app, weirdgoogleearth.com, Badlands Guardian Buddy. So you can see right here and right here, see if we can get a little closer to it and zoom in. If it will zoom in. Here we go. So here's the other figure with the Mayan headdress that I went down on this road and got all the pictures of the terraces, and then across from it we have the Birdman figure, as well as what I've said was the Moai figure here. But if you got a totem up, and right there, clear as day once I see it, there's the eye, eyebrow, big nose, big lip, with mouth, what looks like some sort of almost hawk-like animorph figure or something. Potential another face right there, but the big Birdman face here and the Moai face here potentially. And now, for the first time, what about this being a face and this being a giant lion face? Because I'm pretty sure that is what we have right here. And new faces, many faces. So 4 faces right here, 5 faces with the Mayan headdress guy. Potentially another face right here on the eastern slopes of this hill, potentially cut through his between the nose and the eyes, the road here. And then of course there's this potential figure here, another elongated skull. Potentially this could be. And then, of course, the main Badland Guardian face here, potential other face here, the Olmec face here, but then also this face, potentially, as well as this face, making totem faces. And up top, 2 more potential face guardians, this guy right here, and this guy right there. So that now equaling up 9 or 10 potential faces in this area here. And sometimes we're able to see it, but another face, I believe, oops, right there, yes, this potential troll face guy, or old man wizard face, and that in this hills area there's potentially a couple more that I've seen in the past but aren't as easy to make out. But we have multiple new faces in this site, and just confirmed that I'm going to have some few shifts of work over the next couple weeks, so I should be able to be going back down here first weeks of September with my drone, new batteries, and going to try to get over overhead sight, of course, these guys, potentially see if this is also made of terraces, and if this lion face potentially is also made out of terraces with geoglyphs. But I see faces all over this place, and I am going back there hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and we are going to be taking more pictures like this, the terraces that make up those Badland faces, these parallel lines throughout, and going to try to get some drone footage this time around of all of the new faces and the old faces, and make sure that all of these terraces are still there, and of course they are, and get better evidence showing that they make up and cover these additional 10 faces, or additional 6 to 8 new faces that I believe we've uncovered at this site. And yeah, it's an exciting time to be alive. One more time, one more close-up look at what I believe this being a mask faced right here, and the big head Birdman there. Oops. Sorry, that was the wrong screen I wanted to bring up. Wanted to bring up this guy here. So this one right there, that guy, that guy, that guy, this guy. This is what you were just looking at the terraces of from my last trip down, and that there are potential additional faces through these Badlands. And that looks like a lion face to me. Oh, as well as this guy, right. There's also what appears to be this face. Some sort of like tree dude or who knows, but these masks, masked faces that all appear in this area. And how many cases of pareidolia can we have within one simple valley, within or two valleys next to each other? How can every hillside just resemble different masks and faces, unless that's what they actually are? So again, gonna hopefully be going down.
I mean, something like this on this scale has to be considered some form of terraforming, you know? That's massive.
Medicine Hat here in the next few weeks to take the drone out, the drone batteries that I just got, 3 batteries, so should be able to get some decent flight time and footage when we get down there. Donation link pinned in the live chat and will be in the descriptions as well for anyone able to help out. And yeah, it's exciting time to be alive with all the different faces being discovered, ancient, mega, macro terraformed place that is the Alberta Badland Guardians. And on that note, we're going to make this one a short one. Thank you for watching. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bernie. I think we'll go back to Tom Bearden while we close off this stream. We're going to go till 12 o'clock, and then I'll close it off.
It produces a force which...
So if anybody has anything we'd like to discuss for the next live stream, or any topics we could delve into at a future time, post them in chat, and I'll write them down and make note of them for later.
The system designer places exactly in the system so that that force will expend that energy on the system to increase the kinetic energy of the system, and then we'll take that excess energy off as shaft power. Now let's explain how an electrical dipole, for example, as a battery or a generator, is able to take energy, extract it from the vacuum, and place it onto the conductors of the circuit. First of all, we go to particle physics. In particle physics, any electrical charge is automatically a broken symmetry. Now, what this means is there is a virtual photon flux, a violent flux exchange between the vacuum itself, which is filled with this virtual photon flux, being absorbed by the mass of this particle and then re-radiated back to the vacuum. And so the vacuum and any electrical charged particle are engaged in a fierce exchange of energy all the time, from the vacuum to the particle back to the vacuum. Now, that's not a gating process. It goes right back to the vacuum from the particle. But if you have two particles of opposite sign separated by a small distance, you have two different kinds of fluxes. And the difference between the two gives what we call scalar potential, or voltage in terms of an electrical circuit. But this means that one of those charges you can compare to a source, that is, the positive charge conventionally in electromagnetics is assumed to be the source charge. Energy from the vacuum is actually gated out of this charge into the conductors. It has the characteristic it'll flow along the conductor. We call that pointing flow along the circuit. It flows outside the wire in terms of field energy. The other
Again, we have energy flowing through the conductor, right? But just a tiny bit, and then most of it is flowing around the outside.
end actually goes back into the wire and acts as a sink, but we also tend to illustrate that as a different kind of flow or different degree of flow from the bottom of the circuit. The difference between these two flows is basically what's called EMF, electromagnetic force, in a system. And so the dipole itself, the existence of the two opposite charges separated by a small distance, generates an actual flow of electromagnetic force, and it's not a force, it's a potential, in an electric circuit, and that's what powers the circuit. Now, by the way, that is the only function that a source does. All the rest of that stuff, the generator, the battery, everything in there, all that does is get you the separation of charges. Once you have these charges separated, the flow of energy from those charges is forever free, and it will flow forever if that's all you take from it, is flowing, pointing energy. So what we have done in our electric circuits is we take half of that energy that flows into the system freely from the vacuum through the dipolar source. In the circuit, we take half of that energy and we ram the so-called spent electrons in the ground return line back up through the source against its back EMF. We do work inside and on the ancillary stuff in the battery or the generator to destroy that separation of charges, thereby closing the gate that's given us our free flow of energy. It does not cost one copper penny for the generating capacity of a power plant to power a large city. The actual energy flow out into all the homes and the use to power the homes does not cost anything. The costs that we run into is when the power company pumps all of those electrons back through against the back EMF, does exactly that much work inside their own generator to fight it, and they engage in a sumo wrestling match inside the generator, and that's what we pay for.
You know, we have 60 hertz here in America, and I believe it's 50 hertz for electrical outlets in Europe.
There is a question many times about, exactly what is the vacuum, exactly what is a potential, because when you get right down to it, these terms are either not defined at all in physics or very poorly defined.
The now famous Michelson-Morley experiment at the turn of the century failed to detect a stationary ether, so classical physics presumed once and for all that it did not exist. The case was closed until quantum mechanics reopened the discussion, allowing for a new interpretation of how matter interacts with a zero-point field. In fact, although skeptics often point to Einstein's theory of relativity, it was Einstein who in 1920 said,
"There are weighty arguments to be adduced in favor of the ether hypothesis. To deny the ether is ultimately to assume that empty space has no physical qualities whatsoever. The fundamental facts of mechanics do not harmonize with this view. According to the general theory of relativity, space is endowed with physical qualities. In this sense, therefore, there exists an ether. According to the general theory of relativity, space without ether is unthinkable."
The term vacuum has been used in several totally different senses. Some engineers use it to mean you just pump out all the air, and that's called a vacuum, and that's vacuum technology. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about empty space-time. We know today, for example, the Lamb shift in quantum mechanics showed that this exchange of energy between the vacuum and the charged particles is in fact real and generates real effects. And you can measure it. And he was given the Nobel Prize, Lamb was, for doing that kind of measurement and showing it in the physics literature. So we know it's real. Experimentally, it's detected. The Casimir shift, for example, shows clearly that it's there, and it does generate energetic effects in your actual materials. It turns out that in the modern view, modern quantum mechanical view, if you apply that knowledge that's been gained there, what you find is that the vacuum is fiercely active. It's a fierce energy flux and going in all directions at all times. The energy density of that, as estimated by various physicists, is extremely high. For example, in 1 cubic centimeter, if you could take the raw energy in that cubic centimeter and condense it into mass divided by c squared, you would have more observable mass result from that than our largest telescope can see in the observable universe and all the stars and planets today. And so the energy that's there is extremely dense and extremely fierce. This drives everything that we call physical reality, from the quantum level right on up to the observed level in the observed world that we live in. Everything is energetically driven by the vacuum. Now, as long as any point is totally in equilibrium, you would never have any resulting higher order emerge from that. So the emergence of the normal world we live in, the macroscopic world, already depends upon there being hidden order in this flow. That's called the problem in quantum mechanics of the missing chaos, the missing order. Because they assumed there was no order, they made quantum change random, and that does not generate the present world we all live in. You falsify quantum mechanics by simply listening to this videotape, adjusting your tie, or opening the window. So we know that it's wrong. It's admitted to be wrong in quantum mechanics now. The problem is we have to change the statistics that we use. We have to use an already chaotic statistics. Now, fortunately, a very good physicist named David Bohm showed that if you have hidden order, hidden variable theory, it's consistent with all the experiments that's out there. Nothing refutes it. It eliminates all the problems in quantum mechanics. As far as I know, Bohm never discovered how to actually apply hidden variables. What I have been doing is pointing out that the work that began with Stoney and Whittaker, Stoney prior to 1900, shortly before that, Whittaker 1903, 1904, later used a little bit by Nisbet, by Debye, and some by Dirac, for example. That work, when applied, becomes an engineerable hidden variable theory. And so you can engineer the stuff we're talking about if you look at it with the right set of theoretical eyes. It is doable in the laboratory, on the bench, with some difficulty. There's a problem today, a very serious problem, that's recognized by a few foundations physicists, those very few brave, hardy souls, who struggle with what this stuff really means at root level, what each concept and so forth means, and is it correctly stated, is it wrong, whatever. It turns out that the foundations of physics that we're using today is very seriously flawed, particularly in electrodynamics. I have one chart, for example, I often use in presentation that has some 25 very serious flaws in classical electrodynamics, the things we use to design our TV systems. So
yeah, Gerald was talking about this. He says he uses 7 different instabilities that we would often ignore in conventional electrical engineering. As you can see, I'm getting kind of tired. We've been going like 9 hours on this stream. It broke up because Gerald accidentally hit the end stream button, which, you know, it happens. You know, we're learning this platform all together. So I'm sorry, you were saying something?
No, I was just laughing because Gerald did.
Yeah, yeah, I thought that was funny. Yeah, he thought I was upset about it, but no, I wasn't. No, no, it's no harm, no foul. You know, but yeah, we've been going 9 hours, so I think I'm gonna wrap up this stream and call it a night. I think what did we end up with? Let me take a look at the subscriber count for me and Gerald. So I'm at 995 subscribers. We're 5 away from 1,000. If anybody hasn't subscribed to my channel, Beneficence TV, please subscribe for more revolutionary content. We got Old Man Bills here. Subscribe to Nathan's channel and Crypto. And Gerald, let me check out his channel and see how he's doing real quick before we end this. And he said he got like 10 subscribers. That's good. Yeah, 768. So he's climbing a little bit. We helped him out a little bit. That's good. I feel good about that. All right. Well, I appreciate everything you've done, Nathan, and coming on and helping us with the stream and everything. Appreciate everybody from coming on. Honestly, this was a lot of fun today. Thanks, chat, everybody in chat, and for all the comments and support. Really appreciate it, guys. And with that, I'm going to end it. Have a good night, everybody.
Really appreciate it.
Yep. You too. Have a good night.